Luigi Mangione trial going on, lining up, arguing over evidence, etc. Interesting rulings. I'm going to play this clip for a second because it's got a neat little piece in it where he was picked up in the McDonald's.
Police arrested him. They seized evidence from his backpack, including the alleged murder weapon and writings investigators say could be considered a confession. But
I don't know if people had seen that before, the footage of him, when they picked him up at McDonald's. But the evidence apparently on him at that McDonald's is not being shown to the jury.
Why?
Very interesting. They were saying that the police, I guess they ruled that the police didn't have the probable cause or any reason necessarily to search his bag and everything for it. But other evidence is being allowed, including his gun and
the murder weapon.
Manifesto.
The manifesto and the confession, as we call it in law school, and the murder weapon, as we call it on the street.
Right. Let me see. So what is being suppressed is the magazine, cell phone, passport, wallet, and computer chip.
Wow.
They decided that the search of the backpack at the station house was a valid inventory search. So the items discovered there, including the 3D printed gun, notebook, and handwritten slips of paper with the escape routes, will be allowed. So I guess it's what they found on site. No.
Right. It's so randomly insane. It's like the judge is being King Solomon to these super expensive attorneys who need to make their bones in this case because of their reputation. So the judge is splitting the baby, saying, okay, I'll give you half of this and half. But it's insane. Fuck this judge. Just let the people decide this. Let the jury decide, schmuck.
I agree.
Why should this judge suppress any evidence at all? Let the people, give this to the jury, give this to everyone, and let his expensive defense attorneys explain it away. That's the way the process works. Not some far left judge saying, I'm going to disallow half of the effing evidence in this case, because I don't think the jury can fairly analyze this evidence, which means this would really influence the jury to convict him, and I need to help these defense attorneys.
I agree. I agree completely. Now, to continue on his case, have you ever heard of the term hybristophile?
No. What is that?
A hybristophile, and I assume it's always females, but I guess it could be a male. But these are essentially fans of killers and criminals, and we commonly would call them groupies. So outside of the court, look what we have. We have the Luigi Mangione fan club.
Brian Thompson, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I want to say. Brian Thompson, mom, that lady who said something on Inside Edition. I said what I said. I don't give a fuck.
His children are better off without him. They need to learn to not be like their dad and enjoy.
Now they're talking about the victim. Their children are better off without him.
Right.
That's literally what she just said. This caring citizen. So this is
look how sick they look. So normal, and they're so evil. You know what I mean? They're the same age, the same pop culture zeitgeist world, and tattoos and makeup, and they're fucking Manson girls. That's what they are. These are Manson girls. These are squeaky Frome. This is who they are. Every one of these girls is a Manson girl type.
Yeah, I actually interviewed a psychologist or out of Ireland who's done a lot of work on it, and he was talking about James Holmes, who was the guy who shot up the Aurora Theater.
Batman,
had the red hair, during the Batman movie.
Yeah.
And these girls, they're called like Holmesian girls or something like that.
They're Manson girls. We know them. We know who they are.
Well, it's interesting because there's a parallel there with a mass killing, and it's Dr. Robert King, sorry. And what he researches that there's two types. There is the younger one, like the Mangiones of the world. Now, he's not a mass shooter, but it's kind of a similar profile. And then you have older ones. Now, the older ones tend to take themselves out, and they've already lived their lives. Their kids are in college, whatever it is. But the younger ones, evolutionary wise, usually in evolutionary psychology, it's a way to attract females. Right. So they're doing it to get famous. And that is an argument. And I personally believe that with mass shooters, we need to stop publicizing their names. I think it would be great to do the opposite. Instead of saying their name, just say some idiot and then memory hold them. Literally do the exact effect to take away any incentive of notoriety that they gain from doing the crimes.
Well, okay. It's hard to get all these media people in a row, but not opposed to it. But yeah,
well, they do it right now with
half of them
can't speak on YouTube.
Half of the media does, or a quarter of the media does it right now, probably 25%.
Right, but there's also the self-deletion clusters that have occurred all over, and they don't report on names there because when they report on the names, they tend to be more self-deletions with people reading them.
Interesting.
So there is a precedent of this happening.
Well, we'll follow this Mangione trial. I mean, anything less than the death penalty or life imprisonment for this piece of shit will be a loss for American society.
All of you, you can always hit that little subscribe button down below.
Why don't you subscribe like Eric asked? I mean, he's a good guy. I mean, now it's underneath me. I'm talking about it now. I'm a good guy. Why don't you subscribe? It looks like we picked up new subscribers, so maybe we turned it. What's that?
A few hundred.
That's insane. That's like the first time in months.
Now, you sent me this story, and I have not. Hold on, I have not been able to. I haven't gotten through it yet, and this is fury as Trump gets 1.8 billion taxpayer-funded payout from his own government.
Yeah, why is this an act of corruption? There's MAGA people on the right, MAGA Reich people saying he's corrupt. This is money that comes related to the January 6th rioters as lawfare. He shook them down again, Trump, with his lawsuit. Got a settlement out of them, and will distribute this money, apparently. I don't get how this is a stunning act of corruption. That's really a twist of fate and words here. Raise a new level. Oh, it's coming from Ron Wyden, one of the most far left senators in the United States. So they agreed to drop their suit on Monday, as well as two claims, including for damages resulting from the raid on Mar-a-Lago and the Russian election interference, in exchange for the government's creation of an anti-weaponization fund. This is another great attempt by Trump successfully fighting back against these fascists. The fund will have the power to issue formal apologies and monetary relief owed to claimants. It will be governed by a 5-member commission appointed by the Attorney General, with Trump given the power to remove any member. This is a great, great move to fight back against the January 6th mob. And I mean the mob that implemented this phony thing.
So what you're saying, just so I understand, is that it is a settlement and a penalty for government overreach of people who are guilty, and and they happen to include the Trump family, but it does not
and he's creating
who are being harassed by the government.
He's creating a fund and a commission with the money to make sure it never happens again. I don't know how you get from that, ignoring that part of the storyline, to Trump family corruption. I mean, it's such a leap as to be insane. And it's a creative way to deny the real meat of the story by leftist journalists. Great victory for Trump, and great victory for the American people, by the way.
Well, yeah, and people in the future, because there's a fund, for future abuses that occur. Now there's some money earmarked and some degree of recourse. It's not a terrible thing.
No. And the power of these lawsuits, I had no idea that you could use these lawsuits. They always depicted these lawsuits earlier in his career as him being just a guy who's litigious and nuts. But in reality, look at what he's gotten out of all of these lawsuits, whether it's the Ivy League schools, whether it's the Guardian and the BBC, I mean, now the IRS. I mean, one after another, these massive settlements that he's getting, obviously because of their fear of discovery and these things going forward. But he has used this legal weapon. No president has ever done this. No sitting president starts suing all of these various institutions and entities for political purposes. I've never seen it done.